Yep.
Just how
I didn't.
Just how I roll, bro.
I know, man. I pressed record just after you said that.
There you go.
Not on purpose.
The world will never know, and that's probably a good thing.
The world will never know. Dude, how are you, man?
It's like how many licks it takes to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop. The world will never know.
Well, wait a minute. I thought it was 3.
No, but he bit it, remember? The owl. A 1, a 2, a 3, and then he bites it. Yeah.
Wait a second, though. Did he bite it after 3 or instead of 3?
He said
1, 2, 3,
1.
bite?
It was a 1, a 2, a 3, bite.
That's right.
So he did 3 licks and a bite. So
3 licks and a bite.
Yeah.
It's a good rule.
It's actually, when you think about it, it's like, that owl was kind of a jerk. You know? A little bit. First of all, he took his Tootsie Pop out of his hands, unwrapped it. That's the thing. It was wrapped, and he was just walking around trying to find the answer, and the owl snatches it out of his hand, unwraps the thing, and proceeds to lick it, bite it, and finish it. And at the end of the commercial, the boy is just looking at the bare stick.
That owl sucks. You're right. I never thought about that.
Kind of a jerk.
Oh, man. Dude. When you were talking about that commercial, it brought up, like, nostalgia. I'm like, oh, you know.
Yeah.
But now, screw that owl. Wait a minute. Not that it's the kid's fault, because that owl, he's dumb. But the kid asked the owl, how many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop, right?
Right.
The kid asked the owl, is that how it went?
Yep. Because I think he went to like a turtle first. Like he said, how many licks does it take?
Yeah.
And the turtle said, and I quote, I ain't never made it without biting it. Ask Mr.
I ain't
Owl.
never made
it. And he said, ask Mr. Owl. And then that's why he went to the owl. So the turtle was honest.
Turtle was. But
the owl was like, let's find out. And then he takes the lollipop, and that was it. Speaking of change of subject, not really. Do you call it lollipop or sucker?
That's a good question. I refer to it as a lollipop because if I want one, can I have a lollipop? Someone will give me one, but I naturally say sucker, and I realize that I'm like, hey, can I have a sucker?
Yeah.
No one knows what I'm talking about. So I now say lollipop, but only because I want one.
I've always said lollipop, but then but you know how they have those huge lollipop? They're called all day suckers. So that's the only one I refer to as a sucker, because it's called an all day sucker. But anything else, I just call it a lollipop. I don't know. It's weird.
Well, that brings up another thing too that I want to ask you is it soda or is it pop?
Oh boy, it is soda.
Yep.
Pop.
You're from New York.
I am. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That's the crazy thing, because that's a regional thing. Just like tennis shoes. Do you say tennis shoes or sneakers?
What?
Do you say sneakers or tennis shoes?
Depends on what I want to wear. They're different things.
Or it depends on what sport you're playing. If you're playing tennis, then you're wearing tennis shoes. If you're not playing tennis, then it's sneakers.
Huh. See,
at least where I'm from.
I would think that if you're playing tennis, You're not going to say, can I have my tennis shoes? Because that's redundant. You're just going to say, can I have my shoes or my sneakers? You know what I mean?
Right. For the purpose of playing tennis. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah.
But yeah,
it's
back
so
to
funny.
pop or soda.
Yes.
That's another thing, Rodney, that I've changed. I naturally say pop. It's actually weird for me to say it because I haven't said it in so long. Because when I lived in New York for 10 years, you say soda. Can I have a soda?
Yeah.
In Buffalo, as you know, it's pop.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen? You've seen Freaks and Geeks, right?
I've never seen Freaks and Geeks actually. I know. Give me the face.
No, not even the face. I got goosebumps. You see that?
Oh yeah. That's. I don't know if that's flattering actually.
Dude, I am.
I gave you goosebumps.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'm surprised, but second of all, I'm so excited. Can I watch Freaks and Geeks with you for the first time?
I'm sure.
I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Oh man. Rodney, we know each other. We know each other very well.
Yep.
I don't know how the F I didn't know you've never seen Freaks and Geeks.
You learn something new every day, brother. I tell you.
Well,
that's the epitome of that statement right there.
Yeah, true. But also, I count on you. I count on you for seeing everything and knowing everything I'm talking about. Always.
Yeah, every now and then I'll drop a bomb like the one I just dropped 30 seconds ago.
Yeah, I'm not. That's the thing. One time I was talking to my friend, and we were talking about Neil deGrasse Tyson. You know him, right? The scientist.
Yeah, the guy he founded Degrasse High, didn't he?
Yeah.
Of course. And just for the record, I haven't been saving that one. That literally just popped in my head.
Wait, I thought you were going to say, just for the record, I haven't been sober.
No, I haven't been saving that joke. I haven't, it literally just popped in my head. But yes, absolutely no.
It's a good joke.
The guy.
Pretty good.
It's Mike Tyson's cousin who founded Degrasse High. And his first name is Neil. But yes, I'm sorry.
Really? For real? That's for real?
Yeah.
Whoa.
I read it.
And his last name was Tyson?
I read it on a
Neil
website.
deGrasse. Oh, I get it. Neil deGrasse Tyson.
I read it on a website just this morning, actually. That no longer exists, actually.
And you've got to believe everything you've read on a website.
Yeah, of course.
Because how would it be there?
If it has www in front of it, it's the truth.
Yeah, so anyway, Neil deGrasse Tyson. That was a good joke. If it has www in front of it, it's the truth. Stay in school, kids.
The more you know. What are we doing?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
There it is.
I asked one of my friends once, I was talking about Neil deGrasse Tyson, and he goes, "Who is that?" And my reaction was like, "Huh, really? You don't know Neil deGrasse Tyson?" And still to this day, I replay that interchange because my friend took it as I was saying, "You don't freaking know who that is?" But I think highly of this person, and this person's very in tune with it, and definitely should have and would have everything I know about this person would have known about him. So for me, it was like, what? Really? Yeah. Well, I'm excited for you. Like, that's the same thing when you said, I haven't seen Freaks or Geeks, right?
Gotcha.
Yeah. But that's the thing about reactions, that you don't get to control them.
Yeah,
You know?
that's very true.
I'm
That's
just
very
like,
true.
what? Really?
You know what else? Oh, but on the contrary, you know what you do control that I just did, and I noticed it as I'm seeing myself in the camera? I controlled a yawn. And that is by far one of the most hilarious things when you think about it, because the way your face looks when you're controlling and holding in a yawn, it's pretty horrendous, actually.
It's like
Because
it's like when a guy like is trying to open up like the jaw of an alligator and just wants to close.
it's crazy, dude. I just saw myself, and I was like, oh God, I might as well just let the thing out, let the yarn out. It's
Why
like
do you control it?
Oh, I don't know. It's like I guess it's like a reflex. I don't know. I just naturally, I guess, I just told myself, oh, just hold it. That's rude to yawn in somebody's face, but it doesn't matter. It's whatever time it is, and it doesn't matter. But yeah, it's weird. Like you look like you smell something that you've never smelled before, that you never want to smell again. You know what I mean?
Wait. Let
Like
me
when
try
you
it.
think,
Let me try it and see if I got it.
like it's like you're about to yawn, and you're like. And then your nose gets all big,
But how is that different? How is that different from controlling a sneeze?
Well, controlling a
Similar, right?
sneeze is just insane, because first and foremost, when you release a sneeze, the force that this thing has, it's crazy. You know what I mean? Like the scientific fact about how much force is behind a sneeze is insane. So it's basically like a live grenade being on the ground, and somebody jumping on top of the thing to muffle a grenade. That's what that's what holding a sneeze is like. And all this force goes back inside, or comes out like in a little
hurts.
You know what I mean? It's like I might as well just let the thing out. Then you risk like hurting yourself. Oh, sneezing is dangerous.
Well, you've heard it here, folks. Sneezing is dangerous.
Sneezing is dangerous. Have you ever thrown your back out sneezing?
Yes. Wait, no, not fully.
Yeah.
Okay, so I threw my back out like bad. I think you remember me. I think you remember that. Like bad. It was like for like a week.
Mm-hmm.
I had to sneeze, and Rodney, I tell you, no, I had to control that sneeze. I sneezed a couple times and felt it right in my lower back. Like right where I'm trying not to feel is right where it went to.
Yeah, sneezing. It's like when you think about it, it can be rough. It can be rough. Like the force, man. There's a lot of force behind a sneeze.
Did you know?
Crazy.
Well, I've heard, and I've read it on the internet. So it had a www before it, so it's probably true. You know what I mean?
It's factual.
Yeah, factual.
Can never be proven wrong.
I heard this, I think before. No, it was during. I heard it from a friend, like 15 years ago. Anyways,
from a friend who... Sorry.
Did you know that a sneeze gives off like, pleasure sensors? It feels good, right?
Yeah.
In your brain, it's 1/8 of what happens when you have an orgasm.
Really? 1/8. First of all, I never knew that. That's interesting.
So if you sneeze 8 times, That is very specific and very like, but think about it.
I'm trying to think. I've never, you know how some people have like sneezing fits? You know what I mean? Like some people sneeze like a few, like in sections and numbers and clusters sometimes. Like I know
I do
people,
3.
I was going to say some people sneeze in 3, some in 4. I've never heard 8. Now,
no one sneezes in 8s.
I want to hear. I want someone to give me that 8th. I just want to see what happens.
Well, here's what's gonna happen.
Given this new information,
it's gonna be like 6, 7, 8.
Given what we now know, I want to hear that 8th one.
You want that 8th one?
Well, yeah, I never knew that. That is really interesting, man. Wow.
Yeah. Well, sneezing feels good.
It does. It does. Yeah. You know what I always want to know is when like when people, so not everyone, but I know a lot of people who do this when they sneeze. They fan their nose to stop. Have you ever seen that? You've never seen that? It's hilarious.
I don't think I've actually seen that. It doesn't work.
It's hilarious. I know tons of people who do it. Yeah, I know tons of people who do it.
You know what? I've done it. I've done it.
I don't know if it's just a react. Maybe somewhere you're thinking that you're fanning the dust away or something. So it's not, you're not going to sneeze anymore. But yeah, it's one of those funny things that that people do probably without even realizing that they do it. I may have done it and didn't even realize it.
Okay, hear me out, because like say like you cut your finger, right? Mm-hmm. Or like a better example, like the other day I closed the door and like, oh man, my middle finger just got slammed in the door, right? My reaction is this.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't know why. Does that help? I don't know. But with sneezing, you're trying not to sneeze. Kind of hurts to try not to sneeze. So you're like, so maybe it's like an involuntary reaction.
Yeah, it's so funny. It's so interesting.
Do you remember? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
It's like when you're walking and you trip on something. The reaction is always to compose yourself. And then you always look back to see what it was. You're like, what good is that going to do? I don't.
That's not my fault.
Like,
what the hell was that?
And the thing is, like, sometimes people look at it with like such disdain. Like, if I catch you tripping me again, like I'm gonna get you. You know what I mean? Like, people look at it with like, oh, stupid little crap. But it's just hilarious. It's like,
oh my God, that's so funny.
That's one of those things that cracks me up, because I do it too.
I did that today.
It's just one of those things. Like, you're tripping, you're like, oh, and then you always look back like, what was that could have possibly interrupted this thing that I've been doing since I was a year old, which is walking. What was this thing that disrupted that? And
it's also like saying, like, ain't my fault. That crack was there. Ain't my fault.
Oh yeah, dude. I love things like that. I love things like that. That's why I love people and I love the people watch, because we're all guilty of these little things, man, and it's absolutely hilarious. It's absolutely hilarious.
Dude, I love that. Today I was there was like a lot of like lightning and like thunder. Dude, like there was, I think I was on the Zoom call with you. I think I was.
Yeah.
I was like, Dude, my reaction to the lightning, because it was like one of the like zigzags across, and it was so loud. I was like, "Woo!" Like that was my reaction. And this kid standing in line to get food goes, "I saw it too." It was like
so you had like a brief moment of solidarity with a complete stranger based on lightning and the fact that you both experienced.
But my favorite thing is that his reaction was a reaction to my reaction.
Yeah.
We're like, he just saw me react and goes, "I saw it too."
I saw it too. Yeah. Oh, dude. It's amazing, man. Which is like I said, I love people, man. I love people because we're hilarious. I mean, don't get me wrong, we can be crazy too. A lot of us are. Now, I don't mean crazy like in a mental kind of way. I don't want to throw that word around like that, but you know what I mean. But yeah, man.
I mean that. I'm crazy in that way. I definitely am.
Well, you said it, not me. But
well,
yeah.
You said it first.
But I clarified. Oh, don't try to get me. No.
But I clarify.
I went to public school. Don't you try to get
me. Very, very bad. Very, very bad. I was doing that joke, but I heard you say I went to public school, and that made me laugh.
Yes, I did. I went to great schools, actually. Great public schools.
Grade or great?
I guess both. What is grade school? Like, what? Listen, I am 40 years old. I admit, I'm not afraid to admit my age. I'm 40 years old. Turned 40 this year, actually.
Have you been in recovery?
No. What?
Well, you admitted to being that age. Just wanted to know.
No, but what is grade school? What is that?
I don't know, man. I've been getting grades in every day of school that I've been in.
Like, is it the same as elementary or grammar school? I don't know. I never bothered to look it up to find out what it is, because, like, something about me. I get this from my father, especially. I research everything for the most part. I'm just very curious. I like to know things, but every now and then, I don't want to know. And that's one of those things. I don't want to know. I really don't want to know what grade school is, because I don't know. I feel like it'll ruin the whole mystery for me. Like,
I get that.
You hear people say, when I was in grade school, and I'm like, okay, I just went to elementary and junior high and high school. So did I miss something?
You could have just said school.
Was there like an alternate, universe that I missed out on, like Back to the Future 2? Remember when they went back to the alternate 1985?
Yeah. I just watched Back to the Future too.
Oh, it's incredible. I love that movie.
It's a perfect movie.
It really is.
It's perfect. Really is.
I was just talking to somebody about how incredible that movie is, man. Of all three of them, 1 is great, 2 is fantastic, 3 was like, they had a lot of money and they just said, all right, let's make another one. We got to finish it, But 2 is, like you say, I agree. It's a perfect movie.
Is 2 better than 1?
I would say it is. One, I'd say 1 has the strength of it being the first one, the original. It set the whole everything. But 2, man, the fact that they went to 3 different years in one movie, that's incredible. That's incredible. One of which was an alternate. So they started. The movie picks up in 1985. They go to 2015, which was 5 years ago. How about that?
But we have FaceTime.
Yeah. We don't have hoverboards, but and then they go back to the alternate 1985 because of the sports almanac and that whole, and Biff stealing it. But then they go back to 1955 to get the almanac, and then they come back.
Right.
And then they come back to the normal 1985. Yeah, all in one movie. It's incredible, and they spend like a decent amount of time, especially like in 2015 and 19. Yeah, it's incredible. They were really on top of like that whole thing with part 2.
Yeah, I don't think it's actually a good question. Is Back to the Future 2 better? It's not good because as far as sequels go, like sequels are just like kind of not good in general.
Yeah.
It stands on its own. The only thing about 2 I didn't like is Crispin Glover was not in it.
Yeah.
What an actor, dude.
Oh yeah. Fun fact. So Crispin was, yeah, man, last week. Yeah, pizza with masks on. We were safe, but he, because Michael J. Fox was on Family Ties while he was filming. Crispin Glover was actually he was on an episode of Family Ties, playing Alex's, Michael J. Fox's friend, and then I don't know if it was the same year or a year later, something like that. He's playing his father in Back to the Future.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Which is so funny. But there's an episode where they were supposedly like the same age, and and then here he is playing his father. It's crazy. It's crazy.
That movie, Back to the Future, is like Michael J. Fox he was the perfect part. So I'm going to say next doesn't diminish that. It actually makes the movie better. But everyone else like outshined him. You know what I mean?
You think so?
Like, well, no. What I mean is that Michael J. Fox is like, he's Michael J. Fox. But when you look at his parents, you got Crispin Glover and Leah Thompson.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, Michael J. Fox, he's a really great actor, the right part, everything. But when you go to like actors, you have Crispin Glover and Leah Thompson as his parents.
That's true.
And freaking Doc Brown.
Oh, Christopher Lloyd, man. Like
where we're going, we don't need roads.
Yeah, we don't need roads. Marty! No, this sucker's electrical. But I need the plutonium generator 1.21 gigawatts. He's like, 1.21 gigawatts?
Yes.
1.21 gigawatts.
Rodney.
Dude,
I'm
incredible, man.
I'm doubling down on this. Michael J. Fox is the man. But the co-stars in that film were better. Biff?
Yeah.
Come on,
yeah.
Biff?
Yeah.
When I was a kid, he wasn't an actor. I just hated him. But when I watched it a few weeks ago, I was like, yo, that dude, it was just perfect.
Yeah, it is. I agree, man. I agree. Speaking of Michael J. Fox, have you ever heard of the movie called Midnight Madness?
Nope.
So it's a movie from late 70s. I actually have it on DVD, believe it or not. It's crazy. I found it in a college bookstore when I was still working at college. And I just happened to go into the bookstore. Yeah.
Midnight Madness.
It introduces a young Michael Fox not even Michael J. Fox yet. He didn't add the J to his name, which, if I'm not mistaken, doesn't even stand for anything. But he was about 15 years old in this movie, and it's basically a movie about, like, it's kind of like a scavenger hunt kind of thing, where they're like college students. They break up into teams, 5 teams, and they're all like assigned different colors. So like the green team, red team, yellow team, blue team, and it's called All Midnight Madness because the game goes all night. It's like they're looking for clues all around LA, and it's like it's a really cool movie actually. And I actually have it on DVD, and I think it's Michael J. Fox's like first big screen like movie, like his debut, on the big screen. He wasn't even the star of the movie, but yeah.
Well, it sounds like we just made another date.
Yeah.
Have you? I've actually been like really. Wait, what's that?
Oh no. My roommate just sent me a text, and I'm just looking at something. I don't know what it is. Don't you worry. It's not weird, I promise. Oh.
It could be weird. I don't care.
Yeah. Who knows? But I'm sorry. Continue.
I don't know. Oh, what I was gonna say is I've actually been like very nostalgic lately. Like when I see movies from the 80s, especially 80s, 90s, like before cell phones, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Dude, and like, 5 years ago, if I heard myself saying this, I would punch myself in the face. Yeah. But I've been getting real nostalgic for it. And like, there was just so much more mystery, mystery to the world. Like,
yeah.
You're 40 years old. You just admitted here in the ageist AA meeting. We remember like when you were in school, you didn't have a cell phone.
No.
You didn't even know where your mom was. She's probably at home.
I assume she was at work all day. Her and my dad, like that's where they said they'd be.
And how'd you get home? You told me, Rodney, that you take the bus sometimes, right?
So that's the funny thing. So working backwards, right? High school, I walked to school. I lived 5 minutes away, between 5 and 10 minutes away from my high school. Okay. Junior high and elementary, I had to take the bus to school. Now,
what about grade school?
See, grade school, I don't know what happened because I never went to grade school. I don't know, or maybe I did. I don't know because I don't know what it is. So maybe I did go to grade school. Maybe I took the bus to grade school. But yeah, so it's so funny how when I was 9 years old, 9 years old is 4th grade if I'm not mistaken, or something like that, right? 9, 10 years old.
I don't know.
Yeah, something like that. I was taking the bus. This now, when I say bus, I'm not talking about a school bus. I'm not talking about a yellow school bus. I'm talking about the city bus where I needed a bus pass, or if I didn't have a bus pass, I would have had to pay, fare.
MTA bus. Yeah.
MTA to get to school. In the 4th grade, by myself, I was taking that bus to school by myself. I knew how to get there. It wasn't a long ride per se, but I knew. But just think about that.
You were 9.
4th, yeah.
You were 9.
Yeah.
Rodney,
9 years old.
You explored the world around you when you were 9. No, but you know exactly what I mean, though, right?
9 years old, man.
Like you went to school and you got home. And when you got home, what did you do afterwards? You went out again.
Well, yeah, and that's the funny thing because I didn't get my own house keys until maybe 5th grade. So even
10
still,
or 11.
I would have to go to like a friend's house if my brothers weren't home yet, because my parents would still be at work, and my
so
brothers.
your older brothers had a key and you didn't?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Because they were in high school and junior high at this point.
Huh.
So they they had a different schedule, and so I would go to my friend's house, or or my neighbor down the hall. Sometimes they watch me and let me in, and I would go to her house until somebody came home or whatever. But yeah, which is so funny. Like I never forget one of my brothers called me one day, and he has two daughters. And at the time, his oldest was she was 9. This was years ago. She just turned 17, which is crazy to even say. But he called me and he's like, "Let me ask you a question." He's like, "When did you start going to school by yourself on the bus?" And I said, "Oh, I was about 9." And he was like blown away, because in his mind, he was like, I could never do that with my daughter.
Yo,
even
I want to point out too,
yeah.
9 in the Bronx in New York City. Not just like 9 in a safe suburb of like Cleveland or Buffalo. Yo, you lived in the Bronx.
Yeah.
Across the street from like a lot with like a fix-it car place.
That's right. Wow, good memory. Yeah.
I remember. Now there's a Target. I remember now.
That's right. But yeah, for years it was just.
But it was. I don't point that out because of like. It wasn't irresponsible. It was like,
right.
No, you were 9.
Mm-hmm.
Get the fuck to school.
Yeah, and this is the funny thing. So for me, I don't know how long of a time period it was, but initially, like from the first day of school up until she didn't. My mom actually went with me. She rode the bus with me up to school. Made sure I got there, and then she would have to take the bus all the way back, and go to work.
So she showed you, yeah.
So, but that's the thing. I knew what to do, because there was only one bus. I didn't have to transfer anything. I just had to get on and stay on until my stop and get off. But I was nervous, because up until that point, I had my brothers, at least 2 of my brothers with me. They were with me, and because we all went to the same school. But then once they obviously started to graduate and move on, eventually I was left by myself. So for a little while I was just a little nervous, because I was just so used to having them there. But then one day I just told my mom, I said, "Oh, okay, you don't have to go with me anymore. I can do it." And she was like, "Are you sure?" And I said, "Yeah, I can do it." And that was it. That was my moment of realizing that I could actually do this on my own. And that was it.
Yeah, man. That's that's a great, like really great story. It's also like, it shows me like you grew up in the Bronx, New York City, the Bronx, 9 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And like you told your mom, you're like, "I can do it. I know I can."
Right.
Your mom believed you. She also knew the city more than you did. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I'm like, what's going to happen to a 9-year-old kid on the, was it 15 minutes to school?
Yeah, between 15 and 20. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. Also freed her up. She could go to work.
Right. Right.
Mm-hmm. No cell phones. She didn't even know for sure that you got home safe or got to school safe until you got home safe.
Yep.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah. Now now it's a different world. Because I'm not saying it's better or worse, but it's different now, because cell phones are a thing. And I know so many parents who are from the same generation that we are, you know, but like my brother, they couldn't even conceive in their minds not being able to reach their child, you know, if something happened, you know. Like
Yeah.
I can remember this, you know, as they say, I'm showing my age or whatever, which isn't that old, but I remember when the Challenger, the space shuttle that exploded. I remember that.
Whoa.
I was in kindergarten when that happened.
Yeah, you're a few years older than me, so I don't remember when it happened. Yeah.
Yeah. So I remember we were in school, and I remember them telling us about that. And, you know, I want to say, I'm not sure if they sent us home early or something like that because of it or not. But, you know, but just thinking about events like that, you know, or fast forward to 9/11. How about that?
Yeah.
You know, being able to reach your child and get to, you know what I mean? It's so crazy. I mean, obviously, we were both older when that happened, but
no, that's a good point, because like the Challenger was like, I mean, it was sort of like in 9/11. Of course, like no one's in immediate danger, but
right.
It was
it was tragic. It was very tragic.
Yeah, but you were. I mean, you lived in the Bronx. You lived in New York when 9/11 happened.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
In 2001, cell phones kind of were a thing, right? Kind of.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. The funny thing is, I still didn't have a cell phone when 9/11 happened. I had no, I take that back. I did have a cell phone. No, I'm sorry, I didn't. I had a two-way pager, which was like the thing at that
what's
point.
That? What's like a two-way pager?
So it's basically like it's like instant message, like I am kind of thing, like AOL AIM kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
You know, so you can send like, you know, longer form messages, you know, with more characters, as opposed to it being just like a regular pager or beeper. You can actually text on this thing and send, you know, longer form messages. So it's so that was like the thing then. So I had one of those, and I remember like my service was like all haywire when everything was happening, and I was like, why isn't this thing working? But yeah, but that was all I had at that point.
Yeah, that's wild. What an interesting event for sure, but an interesting time for that to happen too. Like it was just before the internet explosion.
Right.
You know.
Right.
I actually thought today I thought, because I was on a scooter, the Rebel scooters. You see those things, by the way?
Oh yeah. I actually I didn't officially open an account or whatever, but I downloaded the app and everything, but I haven't actually gone through the whole thing yet. But yeah.
It's cool. Coolest thing. I love it. But I was on a scooter, and then I was driving past Ground Zero, like by the Trade Center.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, it's been so long since then, you know? But I still remember it like, geez, like yesterday, you know?
Mm-hmm.
My sister Olivia was born in October 2001.
Wow.
She was born after it happened. And my mom bought her a car. She has her first car today.
Yeah.
And like, it's so wild to think of like a generation like my sister who is working, has a car that has zero memory, and they only know what they've been told of it.
Yep.
Well, I mean, so do we, but
yeah. But isn't it funny how, you know, when you're growing up in school and you're learning and you're going to history classes, you're learning about things that happened years and years ago, way before you were born. And then all of a sudden, these monumental things start to happen in your lifetime. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, you don't even realize it. You're living history. You know what I mean? Like just for example, like a few examples, right? I mentioned the Challenger explosion, right? I remember that. I remember when Mandela was freed from prison. You know, I actually remember that. I was about 10, 11 years old when that happened. You know, I remember when the Berlin Wall came down, you know. Yeah, so it's just, you know what I mean? And at the time, I didn't really understand why everyone was you know, like my parents, you know, they were, you know, doing what they can to explain these things to me, but I'm a child, and you know, all I know was this guy who was in prison for a long time, now he's free and everybody's celebrating. I couldn't understand at the time why it was like this amazing celebration and why it was so historic, you know. Yeah, you know, like the you know, the war in the Persian Gulf, you know, I remember that, you know. So it's like these events that happen in your life that, you know, at the time, especially when you're a child, you don't think about them becoming like a part of something that people are actually going to have to study and answer questions on an exam about. You know what I mean? It's so funny. It's so weird, man. It's so weird.
It's so strange.
Yeah. These things happen every day, you know, and we don't realize it because we're living in it. And if not until you look back, and I mean, don't get me wrong, certain events, you know, immediately, this is historic. Like, this year is historic.
Really? You think? Do you think so?
I mean, yeah, I turned 40. Didn't I tell you that? Come on. Aren't you listening to me?
Oh, Rodney turned 40. That's historic. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Come on.
Well, it's like we're so self-centered, but like when history is happening while we're alive and we're conscious, it's almost like, well, that's just my life for now, you know, and you don't really realize like this COVID stuff and Black Lives Matter and all that stuff. Like it's, talk about history. Like we're living in it right now. Who knows what's going to happen and blah, blah, blah. We're still in it. That's the thing.
Oh yeah.
You know?
We're in the thick of it, man. You know, we're in it, whether you like it or not.
Dude, Rodney, hold on 1 second.
I will hold on.
There's a feature here. There's a feature here where I can pause the recording, which is pretty cool. So I'm gonna test that out, and I'm just gonna get my charger. So my
do that.
Give me 1 second. I'm gonna play. All right, we're recording again.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, I went pee, refilled my drink, and was talking about Doug from Nickelodeon and Rodney. Did you know the guy who voices Doug voices Ren and Stimpy?
No.
I know your mind will be blown.
Wow.
And Roger Klutz. Same guy.
No idea.
Same guy.
That is pretty mind blowing. Wow.
He has like.
That's a good one. That's a good bit of information.
He is like nostalgia 90s. Like he's got a monopoly on that. Doug, Roger Klutz, Ren, and Stimpy.
That's like wow. Like you win, dude.
You idiot.
Ren and Stimpy. Oh my God, dude! I used to crack up at just all of the ways they would just inflict pain and just disgust on each other. Like the fact when they would like pull each other's eyelids over and just put like stuff in them and snap them back. Oh man, pure genius, man.
And that sound effect, the
dude. Speaking of nostalgia, you just reminded me of something. So let's give you a little backstory first. When I was about 5 years old, I realized that I wanted to know where babies came from. No, I'm just kidding. When I was about 5 years old, my parents, they bought myself and my brother a record player. It was a Fisher-Price Sesame Street record player. All right?
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, it was
played
incredible.
Real records?
It played real records. And my mom and my parents, they actually bought us records to go with it, like to play on this record player. So, fast forward, at some point, it got tossed, just in the getting rid of, toys and whatever and stuff like that. So last Saturday, a little over a week ago, I don't know how or why I started thinking about this record player, and I was like, I wonder if I could, like, who has this thing? I wonder if I could even, So I go on eBay, and it pops up, and I was like, that's the same record player. So wouldn't you know, I ordered it.
Dude.
And I only paid $50 for it, and it is the same exact record player, dude. Look at that.
That can play real vinyls.
It works and everything, dude. Like, it even has to change the speed from 33 to 45, bro, and it works. It works, man. This is a volume. It has an even, like, I tested it out because, get this, I still have the records that my parents bought for me and my brother to play on this record player.
Rodney, do you have a Kindo vinyl?
I don't. I know. That would have been awesome.
Oh my gosh.
I don't have one. And I need one, actually. What am I doing? What's wrong with me?
That plays real vinyls.
Yeah, it plays actual vinyls. So yeah, so I when I
that
got
thing
this
is so cool.
When they delivered it, I was like, oh, so I immediately went to get the vinyls that I have, which are, let's see, I have, it's a Lady and the Tramp, like, it tells the whole story on vinyl. Dumbo, complete with all the songs and everything. I have, it's like a Disney kids sing along with all these different songs for kids. And I think there's one more. I can't remember, but yeah, but those are the ones that I can remember offhand.
That thing is so farting cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's like it's the same exact one, man. It blew my mind.
All right, the only thing that would have made it better, the only thing, is that, and like, we should like take what I'm about to say, and then you do what I'm about to say, and then we put it over what just happened.
Yeah.
I almost thought you were going to say that I bought it on eBay and it had my brother's initials on it. Could you imagine?
That would have been cool. Yeah.
What would you have done if that happened? Would you have just quit life?
Oh yeah, that would have been it. That would have been it.
Would have been done. Could you imagine if that? Wow. Stuff like that happens in life.
I will say this. This is remotely, kind of close to what you're talking about. So speaking of vinyl, there was, I grew up in church and grew up on gospel music. So there was this tape that my dad used to play, and my mom for that matter. And it was the same thing. It was one day I was just like, I wonder if I can find this album somewhere, right? I Google it, and it turns out it was on eBay again. I found it on eBay in vinyl form. I grew up with it on tape, but this was that they were selling it in vinyl on vinyl. So I bought it, and I got it, and it was the same exact album. I remember all the songs and everything. The crazy thing is, so just to give you a little backstory, the church that I grew up in, we, for a long time on Sunday nights, we would actually go live on the radio. Like our service would actually go live throughout the tri-state area on radio. So it would be broadcast. The engineer who used to come and record it for us at my church, I knew him very well. He passed away a couple years ago. One of the sweetest guys, one of the best guys I know. His name is Van J, right? He was a radio DJ on one of the gospel stations here in New York that doesn't exist anymore. And so he was he knew a lot of people. When I get the album, opening it, and it's like an actual old school album. It has all the acknowledgments on the inside, and and he in the acknowledgments, she actually thanks him, that Van J, and I was just like, wow, this is incredible. It was just one of those moments that,
in print.
Yeah. And I used to see, he was a really good friend of mine, dear friend of mine,
Yeah.
So I read that and I was just like, wow. So it's kind of like the same thing, just something coming full circle kind of, really cool.
Man.
Yeah.
That's so cool, man. Like you made me so happy when you showed me the Sesame Street vinyl player. Just because I love good stories, and I love people who are like, this is what happened to me when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Or blah blah blah. But you did a thing where you just bought the thing that you wanted, and then you could show people.
Yeah.
The other thing I thought about too was, have you seen the Caroll Spinney documentary on Hulu?
I've never actually seen it. No. I have to watch it. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Thanks for reminding me. I have to see that. Yeah.
Caroll Spinney obviously is Big Bird.
Big Bird. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh man, if you want to cry, in a good way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Goosebumps again.
Yeah. It's like the Mr. Rogers documentary.
Oh yeah, dude.
Oh man. Oh,
I remember watching that Mr. Rogers documentary in the theaters few years ago, not too long.
Yeah.
And at that point in my life, it hadn't really I was kind of noticing that I don't really cry. I haven't cried in a long time. I get emotional, but I can't really pinpoint the last time I cried, sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember being in that movie, and it was not even a pin, a sharp stake, just opened up my emotions and just and there it was, just years of repressed crying. And the other thing too is that it wasn't a sad movie either. It was so
right. It's just that touching of a movie, It's just such a touching. I've always said, I don't know if any of this exists, if it's ever been documented, but why didn't Bob Ross and Mr. Rogers ever join forces? That would have been the most calming, most loving display of painting and education ever. Because you know what I mean? Like, just think about that.
You know what's funny is like what my brain just went to is immediately was like there was no social media, no Instagram, no nothing. Like these were kind of islands unto themselves, and I'm sure they knew of each other, and they I'm sure they probably met. But like there wasn't the way that broadcasting and the way that it was back then, you just kind of did your own thing because that's all you really could do.
It was public broadcasting, and that's, you know.
Bob Ross.
Yeah.
Where are those people now is what I want to know.
Well, Bob, they both passed away.
No. Yeah, I'm sorry. I mean, like, where is the Fred Rogers and Bob Ross of our time?
Right now. Yeah.
And I honestly, I can't think of that.
Yeah.
They left such a big, beautiful imprint.
Oh, huge. And honestly, probably irreplaceable. You know,
they are irreplaceable. But like, where's the Fred Rogers 2.0? Like, not even that. We can't even point to that. You know?
Yeah. Like, I guess, yeah. It is something when you think about that. You know, how somebody can have such an impact to where people are asking those kind of questions. Like, okay, so where's the next this one? You know, like think about it. Like if you're a sports fan, you know, the next Michael Jordan, they've always been looking for the next Michael Jordan. You know what I mean? Because he had such an impact on what he did, and from there, just on the world, you know, it's like, okay, now where's the next one? You know,
how much do you? Here's my question: like, how much do you think? Because broadcasting was new, NBA was new, or like, you know, not as new as now, or it was. How much do you think that because it was in its like newer versions, that's why these people were able to exist?
Well, yeah,
and probably never be replicated. Does that make sense? Am I missing?
Yeah, no, for sure. Because, and I'm sure, like again, going back to, you know, Michael Jordan as an example. There were people who were better than him, believe it or not, like that you probably never heard of, you know, or never even seen. There's no footage. You know what I mean? As opposed to now, you know, there's footage everywhere, there's video everywhere of somebody who's better than who may seem better than a LeBron James, who's considered to be the best. You know what I mean? But back then there was like footage, and all you had were stories. So yeah, I hear there's some validity to what you're saying. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I don't
because of the time, you know, because of the times, you know, it's like not taken away from the skill and what they were able to do and the talent, but it's like, yeah, I guess the times in which they came up, you know, they were just different. So I don't know. It's interesting though.
Yeah, but we're in such like a different time right now where it's like, you know, if you wanted, like when like Mr. Rogers was on TV, there was him, there was Sesame Street, and maybe I could name a dozen total, right? That's it, and that was it. Now, I can't even name everything because I'd never heard of them.
Right.
They have huge followings, and they're so specific. But like a Fred Rogers and Bob Ross was like so big, so impactful on a broad level.
Huge.
Kind of like, yeah. I don't know. Where is that person? I want that person.
Yeah. Yeah. I get it, man. That's a real question. It's a real question. Especially because those two people, just those two people alone, had such an impact, on the world.
Yeah.
On the world. Think about that.
Even, I mean, but like, of course, even Michael Jordan, he's still more of a household name than any basketball player ever.
Mm-hmm.
What is that? History?
Non-sports fans know who Michael Jordan is. People who have never showed any interest in wanting to even play, watch, be anywhere close to any kind of sport know who Michael Jordan is.
Yeah.
That's yeah. Yeah, that's really something when you think about it. Like, really, when you think about it, that's like, wow. That's influence.
Yeah, influence. That's a really great. So that's a really interesting thing, because we're like living in the age of influence right now, right?
Yeah.
Like, you can influence people if you want to. Go on social media, do whatever you want to do, but still, Michael Jordan is bigger than any of those names. I don't know.
Yeah, it's true, man.
Well, this was a good test podcast.
Yeah,
sure.
Man. We both just looked at the screen like, yeah.
Well, because I think it was the first time that both of us didn't have anything to say.
So whatever happened. What stayed in the room stayed in the room.
What stays in the room stays in the room. All right. If this becomes a podcast, which I think it will, what is that story? Why is that funny?
Oh, you have to tune in.
You have to tune in?
Next time.
What stays in the room stays in the room?
You gotta tune in. That's what they call a teaser.
All right.
That's what they call a tease.
Well, giddy up, man.
And then you say, all right, now you got to tune in to find out what it means.
And if there's not a next episode of this, you're just going to have to keep wondering.
The world may never know.
And I think
that's what they call going full circle.
It is. And full circle, I think that's the truest meaning of what stays in the room stays in the room.
Or just redundancy.
Yeah. All right, Rodney, I'm gonna end this podcast, but I'm gonna press pause. We'll talk afterwards.